Hey everybody, and welcome to the Performance Zone. I'm Coach Clay Banks, and happy to have you with us. The Performance Zone is a bi-weekly show that we do live on vidcast, Facebook, on our channel, Clay Banks Studio International. If you're watching, then you know that. If you're watching at a different time than the airing time, you could be seeing us on any one of our platforms and also on our website, which this show is brought to you by claybanksstudio.com, your premier resource for on-camera acting training for film, television, and in this case, interviews. This is a show where I interview different industry professionals on various topics that will cover a myriad of subjects. Each week we bring you somebody new, interesting, and exciting, and this week it's no different. I have with me in the studio a professional financial advisor, co-founder of a financial investment group called the Lumen Group, and his name is Chris Campbell. Chris, welcome to the Performance Zone.
Thanks for having me, Clay.
Yeah,
I got a lot to live up to here.
Why is that?
I've watched some of your shows, and some of the folks you've had on here have been fantastic.
And it's no different for today.
Well, to be determined here. To be determined.
Do you want to do a disclaimer right up front that you are not necessarily an on-camera personality, but you are actually a financial planner? I mean, tell us a little about
I thought we weren't doing a comedy show. These people know that I'm an on-camera guy.
Okay. Well, we'll make that. Chris is an on-camera guy.
I'm an on-camera guy today. I mean, you can look me up in future references here, but to be determined.
Tell us a little bit about you, Chris, so people that don't know anything about you, which would probably be quite a few people.
What do you want to know? Where do you want me to start?
Well, who are you and why are you here?
So I am Chris Campbell. I'm a financial advisor, like you said, co-founder of the Lumen Wealth Group.
Tell us what that means.
Why am I here? Well, what does that mean? So
financial advisor.
Financial advisor. So there's a lot of different meanings for financial advisors out there. Essentially, the way that we work with individuals is holistic wealth planning. Pretty fancy term, and I'm using that because you used a fancy term to intro yourself today. So I feel like I got to pull some of these things out.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Didn't realize that.
I'm gonna go one more unbutton, just so
the
audience.
Okay.
He's
unbuttoned.
Yeah, look at it.
It's like unplugged, I guess.
So holistic wealth management, what does that mean? You look at everybody's financial picture differently, okay? It's like a puzzle piece. There's 1,000-piece puzzles, there's 100-piece puzzles, and you gotta look at every situation differently, okay? And that doesn't just mean investments. So we look at a lot of different areas, top to bottom, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that means, but hopefully that gives you a...
Okay, let's kind of break that down a little bit more, because you're saying areas and things. We are talking to actors, and we want to... had to wake my producer up over there. She kind of went out to lunch or something.
See, it was because
We're switching live now. Everything is okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. It's like you just got this blank look on your face. I'm talking. It's like, okay, what's going on over here? No, seriously, because look here, our audience usually are intermittent income earners, artists, actors, receive no money, receive a little bit of money, get a whole lot of money, then don't get money for a while. I mean, it's just a whole different type of deal.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is hand to mouth. And so the thing, and when you're dealing with big money people that have large amounts of money to be able to invest, and you diversify and put it into different places, that would be different than somebody that's going, well, I don't have a lot of money, but I would like to be smart with it. What do I do? Would you handle something like that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to learn what it takes to take control back of your finances. There's got to be some sort of feeling involved in your finances. There's a guy by the name of Dave Ramsey. He talks a lot about taking control back. Okay, then there's a step-by-step process.
3 p.m. on 11:50, I believe.
Yeah.
The Patriot.
On the radio?
On the radio?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he runs a class called Financial Peace University. It's unbelievable. But to your point, there is a crucial point to when you're on the grind is not forgetting about the long-term potential and the time value of your money. If you are that person that is scraping by right now, on the grind, it's easy to forget about saving now. And the time value of money, I mean, the time value of money is crucial. And so if that means saving $5 a week or $20 a month or $100 a month, do it now and do it early, because 30 years from now, trying to play catch up isn't going to be as fun.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I don't think people think along those lines. You know, they'll blow $5 on a latte at Starbucks, you know, 5, 7, 10 days a week, and not think about it. But taking $5 and putting it somewhere to invest, I think a large part of the mentality is this isn't doing anything. Can we address that?
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's doing anything now, probably a year from now, and maybe even not 3 years from now. But there's a term called compound interest. You know compound interest?
Of course, compound interest is one of the most fascinating inventions in the world.
It's unbelievable, huh? So you take your money that you've saved $5 a month for a year, and then you earn some interest on that. Okay? The next year, while you continue to save, you're now earning interest on top of your interest on top of what you've saved. Now, the first couple of years doesn't really look like much, but let's fast forward 20, 30 years from now. It's unbelievable what it can do for your picture.
So let's talk about this $5. Where does this $5 go?
Where does it go? So, well, first of all, you want to protect yourself in the event of emergencies. So the first $5 that you want to make sure that you have is going into a savings account.
Where?
Your rainy day fund. You've got a checking account, you've got a savings account. Your checking account is where your spending is. You want to start with, let's call it $1,000. That's Dave Ramsey's baby step one, is save $1,000, okay? That's just, hey, let's check a box here, let's accomplish a goal, and let's make sure that we start to save and get in the habit of saving, because it takes a while for that.
Let's address this, because I just, being an instructor of people for 38 years, we can put out a lot of really great information, and there are certain minds that are, they're go-getters, people that will take information and they'll go do things about it. And then you get a majority of the people that they take information, and if it doesn't sink in or it doesn't click, they don't really know, it doesn't make sense, it kind of loses its power and it trails off. So in a situation like this, where I think this is really great, okay, you want to check a box to make $1,000. Simple financial goals. So let's say the audience right now, everybody watching, if you haven't done this already, or even if you have, open up another savings account.
That's right.
You can open up as many savings accounts as you want. Just go to the bank and open up an account.
Yeah.
Make a goal of going, I'm going to accumulate $1,000. And is there a time limit on that?
No, but you have to do it with a purpose. You've got to be intense about it. Live like no one else today, so you can live like no one else tomorrow. That's a very common slogan, but people don't know how to implement that.
What's it mean?
Live differently than what culture tells you. So everybody else, they want the fancy clothing, the fancy cars, things like that. You're going to be able to live like no one else 20 years from now if you live like no one else today, because of different strategies.
Making the
making
immediate sacrifice for the long-term benefit. Okay, so we're back to this $1,000.
Yeah.
We want to save $1,000, and we're going to save this $1,000 by putting it in a savings account. How? What habits should be developed? How do we ensure that that $5 makes it into that account? Is it done daily? Is it done weekly? How does this happen?
Well, you got to figure out what works for you. You gotta have a really good understanding of your income and your expenses to be able to know what you're going to save.
So you like do charts, records?
You start with a budget.
Budget.
Okay, map out what your next month is going to look like. For the actors and actresses out there, take a look at what you have lined up for the next month and try to project what you're going to make per gig. Okay, maybe you can average it out or focus on the bottom line, but really what's going to be extremely helpful is knowing, here's what's coming in, I know this is what's going to go out, what's left over. Once you figure out what's left over, you can figure out how much per week or how much per month you want to start saving. Okay, and let's say you're in a position right now where you have nothing left over. Take a walk around your house, see what you can sell. Get rid of things that you don't need. Put it on Marketplace or Craigslist or something like that. Have a garage sale with some friends. Start selling some things that you haven't touched in 14 years. Get rid of it and put that into a checking account or a savings account. And those are the little things that can make a big difference.
So would it be good advice to say the savings account is forbidden territory? It goes in, it doesn't come out.
It is for emergency purposes only.
After the $1,000 is accumulated.
After the $1,000. Now, we're going to come back to that because the $1,000 is, hey, we've accomplished something, okay? It's getting you in a habit. But to really feel secure, especially for those folks who are out here in Los Angeles, you guys know, out here in Los Angeles, $1,000 doesn't go very far, okay? So the next...
Oh, it goes far. It goes very far away from you.
Yeah, that's right. So it goes pretty quick, right? But again, we're accomplishing a goal. We're checking off boxes. The next one, you're going to get rid of your debt. You got to get rid of the debt.
Okay, we'll get on to that.
Yeah.
Because this is good stuff. Okay, so just so we make things very, very clear, we're going to change the mindset. We're going to live a little bit differently. We're going to start to arrange, if we haven't already, a budget for ourselves so we can look at what's coming in, what's going out, even if it's inconsistent. And then we're going to make a point of taking a percentage of that money and funneling it into a non-touchable, unless it's an emergency, fund called our savings fund. And we're going to start putting that money into a savings account.
That's right.
Okay, so there it is. It's clean, it's simple, it makes sense, and anybody can do this, especially if you're a coffee drinker.
That's right.
Okay.
How much are we spending on coffee out here?
Well, I don't drink coffee, so I'm able to give you a lot of money to manage for me.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
See, if I drank coffee, you wouldn't have as much
Not
net
as
worth
much
as me not drinking coffee.
Your protein shakes far
Oh, yeah, well-
surpass the coffees.
Yeah, they are those. Okay.
That's why you got the pipes.
Okay, the pipes. Yeah, well, watch out, everybody.
I've seen your other interviews, your T-shirts. I mean, look,
The
we won't
nutrition
get into
show
it.
is coming next.
We don't have enough time for
2
that
weeks.
today.
We're
Yeah,
going
that's
to plug
right.
the nutrition show.
All
I think
right.
that's going to be our next show. But okay, so great. So we've got this simple savings thing. And guys, look, I mean, seriously, do it. It takes, I think what Chris is saying makes a lot of sense. You've got a liability laying around the house that's depreciating. Liability means it's depreciating. Well, you can turn that into an asset just by even sticking it into a very low interest-bearing account, which the savings aren't paying anything, but at least it's going somewhere.
Yeah.
Because then there's another step, which you're going to talk about when that accumulates, on where to take that money and then invest it, which we're going to get to, correct?
We'll get to.
Okay, cool. So right now we're saving that money, even if it's just $5 a week.
Yeah.
My gosh. I mean, come on, sell plasma. I mean, and you're also helping people. And guys, it raises the testosterone level as well.
That's right.
So it's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
That's another show, maybe in 2 weeks. Okay, so now the next part was,
Get rid of your debt.
how do we do that?
2 things. And here's a really cool strategy you can implement. Pick a category that you feel you overspend in and take an envelope and write, here's how much I'm going to spend in this specific area. Eating and dining out, it's a really simple one. Most people, that's where they overspend. So say, I'm going to spend $200 this month on eating and dining out, not $1 more. You're going to go to the bank, you're going to pull $200 out, you're going to put in that envelope. And you've got $200 to spend on eating and dining out for that month. So you don't overspend. Because here's the thing. What happens if you don't have that $1,000 saved and an emergency rolls around? What are you doing?
You're in trouble.
You're in trouble. You're swiping your plastic, your credit card. Then you've got reverse compound interest happening.
Right.
Credit cards, how much do they charge in interest on an annual basis?
Yeah, I don't use them.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. But 16, 25%?
I don't know what's at anymore.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So you get an emergency, you're swiping the plastic, and now instead of the compound interest working for you, it's working against you.
Yeah.
So we got to get rid of the debt as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I wrote an article for Backstage a few weeks ago on finances and the actor. Interesting thing is, and I thought this was a really great piece of work. I mean, it was pretty, I'll let you read it. It was very succinct. And here's the funny thing.
Clay, I read all of your work in advance.
You're amazing.
You don't even know
I
it.
just love you for that. That's brilliant. Backstage wouldn't publish it. And I think they didn't publish it because it was a little bit too over the head of the audience. And they literally asked me, they said, would you kind of reconsider this article and maybe write tips on how actors can do things less expensively? And I'm like, that's not really kind of my thing. I'm in the process of dealing with that right now. You know, it's like I don't want to just give tips. I'd rather talk about, you know, the other dynamic of money. But one of the topics that I did, and Backstage, if you're watching, I love writing for you guys, and we'll get through this one. is when you're using plastic and how to look at plastic and what plastic actually is. That plastic is not. I renamed them decades ago. Because I ran into debt in my early 20s.
Yeah.
Because I was working with a company that kept me in debt. It was a whole thing. It was terrible, and that's how I learned about finances from the bottom up, which was terrible. Got past it. It's been decades since then. To me, credit cards, I call them convenient cards. Because basically what I do, I carry 2 credit cards, but they're convenience cards. One's for my business and one's for personal. Basically, I just use them, and as soon as they come in, I not only pay it off, I pay above. Even if it's $50 or $100, I will pay above whatever I'm asked to pay. So and if the money ever comes in and I can't do that. I've learned that it almost is, it's abrasive. It'd be like a vegetarian eating a plate of ribs. I can't spend money that I don't have.
Yeah.
And so I use them as convenient cards. So whatever I'm spending, I keep a mental awareness of it. When that comes in, no matter what that price is, that check is written. Both of them. They are written so that I'm never in debt to a credit card company. They're actually paying to allow me the convenience of using their money so I don't have to carry the cash around.
Right. And you do that because in the event that you do have a balance at the end of the month, then you're going to have to pay for that balance.
The whole thing.
Right.
Everything.
Right, exactly.
Whatever it is, you pay it off. It's always at zero.
Yeah. So here's a cool little strategy to get out of debt. Okay.
Oh, great.
List out your debts in order of smallest to largest. Now, this doesn't necessarily make the most sense from a numbers standpoint. This is more of a habitual standpoint because money is 80% emotions and 20% knowledge. Okay? This is a habit thing. So start with your smallest debt at the top and list them in order from smallest to largest. And what you're going to do, you're going to pay the minimum payment on all of them. Okay? And while you're going, you're hammering out the smallest debt to largest debt in that order. Once you pay off that small debt, draw a line through it. Okay? Move to the next debt. Take the minimum payment on that smaller debt, move it to the next debt, and get out of debt as quickly as you can. Because savings don't matter when you've got debt that you're paying interest on that's 5, 6, 7, 16, 20, 25%. It really doesn't matter what you do before you pay off the debt. So get in the habit of paying off your debt in a timely manner. And if you don't have enough income coming in, be intense about it. Go out and get something, get a job, get a ride share or something like that. I mean, I don't know. Do what you got to do. You got to want it. You got to have the choice.
You know, I've been at this game for a while, and there are more opportunities to make money now than I've ever seen before. I mean, you got everything from driving for Uber or Lyft, or even these food carrier product delivery services.
Yeah.
You can work for Fiverr. You can put your services
whenever you want.
Craigslist, we didn't even have that. I mean, you know, we had the penny saver, and you know that was a whole other deal. I'm older than I look. Watch the nutrition show, you'll see. But this is great on the whole debt thing, because I know that Dave Ramsey is kind of one of these really tough love kind of guys. And he talks about, and this is the thing that's really cool, what he talks about. He says, if you are in debt at all, you owe anybody anything, you don't go anywhere.
What's he say? A borrower is a slave to
the lender.
That's right.
Yeah. You don't go anywhere. You do not even think about eating out.
Right.
You don't go anywhere that's going to cost you money until you are out of debt. And if you're a Ramsey dude, forget it.
Right. He's intense about it. And he should be. He shouldn't be as intense about it for you. You should be that intense about your own money.
Right.
That's how much he cares about the people that he talks to.
And that's the issue, I think, with a lot of people that are in debt and do live in debt, is just it's the self-discipline, which is a whole nother program, but it all ties in that you have to have the discipline to stay above the curve. And when you do stay above the curve, your life is just a lot better.
Right. It is.
You sleep better.
That's right.
You live better.
Yeah.
You're happier.
What's the #1 cause of divorce in this country?
Finances.
Finances. It's the #1 cause of stress in people's lives.
Yeah.
Finances. So you get that in order first. You start taking care of that stuff. You got to make the conscious decision to do it. But things will start to fall in line after that.
Okay, this show is moving a lot quicker than I thought it was going to move. So let's so we can keep things in perspective, because we want to get to. We're talking about the bottom side of money right now. We want to get to the top side of money. So
Sure.
we've discussed it. You've got to save. What I profess doing my kind of more novice financial advising, that I don't do it obviously professional. Lori, I think something happened over here. You might want to take a look at that. Is that you have to pay yourself first.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't pay yourself first, you're never going to get paid.
Right.
You're always going to be working for everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And that you take a percentage of your income, like you said, whatever it works in your world, you take a percentage of your income and you have to put it away right away.
Right.
You don't spend money that you don't have. You learn your means by doing a budget.
Yeah.
You live below your means. No
Right.
matter where your means, if your means is here, you live here. If your means is here, you live here. You don't live above your means. And I think if the audience can get that flip understanding, that it becomes a mentality, because if it's not the money,
Mm-hmm.
it's the mentality about the money.
Yeah. You have to have your money work for you. You have to get to the point where your money can work for you. So save your $1,000, get out of debt as quickly as possible. The next one is 3 to 6 months of emergency reserves, and you got to decide what you feel comfortable with. But what I mean by that is figure out what your expenses are on a monthly basis. Okay? Now multiply that times 3, 4, 5, or 6. Okay? You gotta check that box off as quickly as possible so that your money can start working for you. Okay? Because if you delay that and then you set yourself back because of a car repair or something that comes up that's an emergency, now you've taken away from your savings potential. And when 20 years from now, if you have $100,000 in your account, okay, and you're earning 10% off of that $100,000, that's much more significant than 10% off of a $20,000 account, okay? Now, I'm not here to guarantee that you're going to get 10% off of your money, but as an example, the quicker you start to save, the more compound interest can work for you on the value of your portfolio. The only way your value of your money is going to continue to build is if you take care of those other things as quickly as possible.
Okay, so let's kind of go above the curve, because I want to discuss where you kind of a lot more versed, and really why people hire you.
Mm-hmm.
Because most people don't even think about a financial planner unless they have some money that needs to be managed. I mean, that's how I met you. It's like, okay, I'm good to a certain level, and then, as you know very well, I'm like, okay, all right, where do we diversify?
Mm-hmm.
Where should I put the money? Who's watching this? And I mean, that's where it starts to get, that's where we need somebody like you unless you're somebody that sits around and has time to do these things, and
Mm-hmm.
it's your kind of a deal, which I'm sure there are tremendous amounts of people out there that can do this for themselves. I don't know how well or not, but for people like myself who I don't have time to give my money that much attention, and I need somebody that's going to give my money that much attention, then someone like you comes into the equation, and your job is to do what exactly? You assess a person, and what happens?
Right, so we take a look at the whole picture. Going back to that puzzle that we talked about earlier, there are people that have 100 pieces, there are people that have 1,000 pieces.
Of what?
Of the puzzle.
What
right?
puzzle?
Their financial picture, anything with a dollar sign.
What is a financial picture?
We're talking about your house. We're talking about your insurance pieces. Car, health, life insurance, long-term care, all of that stuff. Those are risk management pieces that protect against devastation in general, okay? Those are really important pieces to make sure, pieces of the puzzle to make sure that they're aligned correctly to protect. Because what happens if you run into a situation where now you've got to have someone come to your house 3 days a week to take care of you? Or what happens if now, because of a car accident, you can't work for a couple of months? You're going to start pulling from your savings, you're going to start pulling from your emergency funds, and then you're going to have to start pulling from your investments if you haven't protected yourself. So we come in, we take a look at the whole picture and make sure that we've protected you in all areas, and then we start aligning the investments to people's goals. So your goal, what are some of your goals that you're hoping to accomplish down the road?
In the sense of what? I've got a tremendous amount of goals.
A lot of goals. Okay, I'll give you an example.
What are we talking about?
Some people have a goal of retiring soon. Okay, soon or down the road. You're going to work until you're 120. I already know that. Okay.
You don't want to make it that far, but that's another topic for another show.
So retirement, as an example, let's call you a 40-year-old guy. You want to retire at 65. You've got 25 years to go, but all you know is I've been saving a little bit. I have some investments. I have no idea how I'm going to get to the point where I feel comfortable at 65 saying I'm ready to retire. So our job is to come in and figure out, what does it look like for you to live comfortably when you decide to make that decision? How much are you going to need at that point? And how do we develop an investment strategy for you now so that 25 years from now it puts you in a position where you can comfortably do that?
And you're dealing with people that are making, say, anything under 100,000, people who are making in six figures, and of course 7 and maybe 8, I don't know. But are the figures somewhat the same? Does it change based on the kind of money that you have? Is the plan pretty much across the board, and we just fill it in with different zeros or where the decimal point is? Or does do the strategies actually change when you're dealing with different levels of wealth management?
There's a quote, "Mo money, mo problems." I like to say more money, more complexity. So to answer your question, we have folks who make $70,000, $50,000 a year. We have folks that make $2 million a year. Okay, right. It just completely depends on the situation. The person that's 25 years old making $50,000 a year, you start systematically saving and putting some things in place. Right. When you're 50 years old, you're going to be the guy or the girl that's making that money. Okay? And it doesn't mean you're making $2 million a year in income. It might mean you started saving early enough where you've been strategic about it and habitual about it, where now for the next 25, 30 years, you've built up a nice nest egg for you to feel comfortable.
Could you say that you've actually built up an army of soldiers, financial soldiers, little dollars jumping around out there that are working for you?
Yeah.
And your money is actually working for you, making more money for you.
That's right. That's right. So all you got to develop is that habit of saving, not being in debt, and doing it regularly. Then you go and you talk to a professional and you say, okay, this is why I'm saving. This is what I want to accomplish. How do I invest this? Or where do I go from here? Help me put something in place where I know I've got something attached to this money.
Okay, now I know you're kind of like bonded by all kind of things, and you can and can't say. It was like, I felt like Trump was coming in for this interview. It's like, oh, this big list of what I can and can't. Got Secret Service around here. It's like,
boy.
Okay, so like, what is it that you can tell us about, like, where to invest?
Where to invest?
How does somebody acquire someone like you? When would somebody like you come into the equation? What do people do with some money they have? So let's address the artist that's out there right now that is making money, and is just shoving it literally in the mattress, so to speak. Because like, to a certain degree, I mean, I was very, very cash heavy when I think I met you. I mean, I had a lot of investments in things, but I had a lot of cash, and I was like, okay, where does this go? What do we do? How does this work?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I don't want to forget about the people who aren't making money also. Anybody can call me anytime, and I'm happy to help guide you in the right direction. But
for those people that are listening right this moment, this second, how do they get a hold of you? We'll announce it again at the end, but right now, how do they get a hold of you?
Sure, you can shoot me an email. It's chris@lumenwealthgroup.com.
Did you spell that?
Yeah, LUMEN wealthgroup.com.
So chris@lumenwealthgroup.com.
Yeah, shoot me an email. Let me know you want to chat over the phone, and then I'll give you a call, and we'll have a quick conversation.
So that's a free call, and they can just call you.
I'm happy to talk with anyone anytime.
He is. I think I spoke to him for about a year before I actually committed to you. I felt like I was like choosing a new life partner or something.
It's an important decision.
Well, I kind of was.
Look, it's a financial relationship. Right? That's right. That's right. No, it takes a long time to build trust and a second to lose it.
Yeah. So yeah, and even when you sometimes can lose it, you got to be able to get that back again.
That's right.
So
Back to your question.
yeah,
The f-
how people that do have money or people that don't have money, how does this work?
Right. So for the folks that do have money, first question I'm going to ask is, do you have your emergency reserves? Okay, because we're not taking that money and investing it if you don't have your emergency reserves
And
in
those
place.
are?
Pardon?
What are the emergency reserves?
It's 3 to 6 months of your expenses.
Oh, okay. 3 to 6 months of your expenses need to be in an account.
That's right.
Okay, did you get that, everybody?
3 to 6 months of expenses in a savings account.
In a savings account.
That is financial insurance.
That means if all breaks loose and the bottom falls out, you're okay for 3 to 6 months.
That's right. You don't get one gig. You don't get one commercial.
I'm feeling the sighs all over the people just listening to this, right? I mean, what's the percentage of people? Because even in the news feeds I listen to, and just being plugged into what's going on in the world, the majority of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
That's right.
What percentage of people actually have 3 to 6 months of money available to just sit on?
The average American cannot afford the cost of a $5,000 emergency. That's the truth.
So how do we get this money?
You got to be intense about it.
Yeah, huh?
There are 7 days in a week. God rested on the 7th day, but he only rested on the 7th day because he worked his butt off for 6 days. So if you're not working your butt off for 6 days, you don't have to watch the big game. Take every audition that you can. It's better to be seen than not be seen. It's better to get shut down than not have the opportunity to get shut down at all. So pick up an extra gig, pick up an extra audition, do some ride sharing, waitress, waiter, bartend, do what you got to do, because you got to live like no one else today to live like no one else tomorrow.
And you can sell plasma.
You can sell plasma.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. I'm just copying a lot of the people that have had success with this.
Yeah.
And I use Dave Ramsey as an example because that's what I grew up with. And I try to facilitate the Financial Peace University class. And I can't believe after 9 weeks how it transforms people's lives.
Right. Okay, so we got that one. We got to get the emergency fund in place. Everybody go to work, start doing it with at least $5. Okay? Change the mindset. Make some shifts in your life. Walk around, do an inventory of everything, sell some stuff, get rid of some stuff, think about opportunities to be able to make money, goal plan, budget. Okay, what happens
Now we're
next?
to the money.
Yeah.
All right. So you've got your $1,000, you paid off your debt, you got your 3 to 6 months. So our wealth management group is independent. So basically what that means is we're licensed fiduciaries. We are required.
I love that word, by the way.
Fiduciary.
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 That's right. Don't use that lightly.
Yes. Why don't you tell the folks what fiduciary means?
See, they think I'm an actor now.
Well, you're doing great. How's he doing? Write in. Let us
doing
know.
all
How's
right.
Chris doing? He needs some help.
I see a couple comments
His
scrolling
confidence
up
is,
there.
yeah. No, seriously, I love
Yeah.
because fiduciary. I mean, that to me, I'm like, oh man, that's just such a refreshing word that actually exists.
Yeah.
Tell people what that means.
Yeah, so when you're at the point where you're ready to start investing, make sure you find an advisor that's a fiduciary. That means that advisor has a license. That means he or she is required to act in the client's best interest. Not a suitable investment recommendation, but the client's best interest.
And that's bound by law, correct?
That's bound by law.
I
That's
love
right.
that. That
Yeah.
means they have to, by law, make decisions and choices that are going to benefit me.
That's right.
I love that.
So my job becomes a little bit easier in that sense because now it becomes an education thing. I can come to the table and provide options and allow that person to choose, and I just explain the differences between the options. And we have an understanding of why I'm making these recommendations because they're attached to a financial goal or an objective. So when it comes to investing, mutual funds are a great way to start. Okay? A mutual fund means you take $1 or $20 and you are mutually investing into a suitcase with many other people into a specific fund that has a bunch of different companies or investments in that suitcase. Okay? So that's important because right now, Amazon is trading over $1,000. You can't just take $20 and invest in Amazon today. But you take your $20, you invest in a mutual fund, there might be a fund.
You'd loan a piece of Amazon.
Yeah, right, exactly. You own a portion of Amazon, but you get to spread that $20 amongst hundreds of different companies or investments. So that's a good way to start. But we have clients that invest in mutual funds, stocks, bonds, fixed income, UITs, everything across the board. Yeah,
okay,
you don't want to get into it.
Oh, another show.
That's
there.
right.
Yeah.
But independence is important because you want to make sure that the advisor that you're working with has options and isn't going to push a specific product or investment on you.
Yeah, I will say that, and how I met Chris is I bumped into him in the street, which is literally how it happened. We started talking, one thing led to another, and I was at a place where I needed help understanding what to do with my money. And we started talking, and like Chris said, we started meeting and going over things and building a trust relationship. And I will say that even the money that I've paid you to provide your service and your company to provide the service you've been providing, more money has been coming in. My money's been stronger and making more sense, and I have more of a peace. Do you remember at the onset when I wouldn't let go of it all? It's like I was micromanaging you, micromanaging my money.
I get it.
That's a process you got to kind of go through.
It's emotional.
Yeah.
Money is emotional.
Yeah.
Spending money is emotional. Handing money over to an advisor is emotional. But we got there.
Yeah, we're there, and and I will say that I do have to tame my own thoughts when I'm like, oh, geez, yeah, wait, no, I got Lumen, they're a fiduciary company. Relax, they got it. You don't have to do this anymore. So so I have I am in the season. I will be honest with you. I am in the season of unconditional, well, to a degree, somewhat conditional trust. Of just going, all right, let me take a couple years and just not be hands-on with all this stuff and see what happens.
Right.
And so that is going on. And of course, you handle everything outside of my Bitcoin and my pot stocks, which that was a trip. Investing in the Canadian cannabis investment funds up there, which they've been interesting.
We said, look, Clay, hey, take a portion of your money and you do it yourself. Mm-hmm. The rest of it, we're going to make sure that you're not worried about it.
I still have no idea what Bitcoin is doing. But I remember when I brought Bitcoin up to you and you were like, yeah, whatever, I don't think so.
Look at a guy like Warren Buffett. He invests in boring, value-based companies. He doesn't try to be the guy that throws his money into the lottery and hits the next jackpot. He finds the companies that he believes in. If you didn't know the price of your investment on a day-to-day basis, would you be comfortable with those investments?
I don't know the price.
But you know the companies.
Of course.
Right. So that's why it's more comforting to you. If you don't know how it works, or you don't know the company, or you don't know why you're investing, should you be in it?
Yeah, and then when you tried to tell me to sell my Apple off, and I was like, there ain't no way I'm selling my Apple. It makes no logical sense to me. And then we go back and forth on that whole thing, and you're like, you got to diversify, cut the peak off the top, re-diversify the money. I said, but if it's grown, it's grown. I want to stay with Apple. And then Apple just came out with a whole financial fund of loaning money in a credit card. They're now they're now becoming a financial institute.
Yeah. Look, we're not in the business of chasing. I'm in the business of making sure that people feel comfortable with their money and accomplish what they're looking to accomplish. If we do better down the road as a result, great.
But what I like about you is because I am a little bit out there.
A few things that you like about me.
Well, a few things.
Yeah,
a few things I like about you is that I do, and that you do you make sure, because like when it comes to the big foundation, like you say, a percentage. Let me go crazy, do what I want to do, because I'm in the precious metals. I own gold and silver. I do own pot stocks. I do own Bitcoin. I do like kind of playing it. I do have a piece of Elon Musk. That's crazy. And the solar industry. And these things aren't hard to get into. you know, they're not hard to get into, and I play around with that. But then you do handle the big mutual funds and the bigger money picture of things to see that the foundation is in place, and I do feel good about that, because even if there are some hits that I'm taking, I know that the big picture is okay.
Yeah.
You know, and that's been comforting.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to avoid market timing. Okay? We're not trying to avoid the timing of the investments in the sense that the time is now to invest for the long term. Okay? Because the one thing you can't get back is time.
Listen, this is really flying by, and I'm probably going to have you back for a part 2. So what I'd like to ask the audience is if you guys want to write in, and if you'd like to see more from Chris and have us go deeper into other areas and get more of your questions answered, maybe we can look at another interview.
Happy to do so.
In the future. Do we have any questions? I think we got a couple of questions. Let's see what the producers are saying.
Yes, we have a question from Nina Brock. She's asking you, Chris, as an actor, would you recommend having a business account to run our funds through, or a personal account to run our funds?
What was her name?
Nina.
Nina. Where can I see Nina?
Right there. She's right here, or right there.
Right there. Okay. Nina, good question. So the question was, do you have a business account or a personal account when you're running your own business? That's a great question. Here's a somewhat answer for you, okay? The answer is, when you get to a certain point, you're going to want to work with a tax professional to make sure that you have separated your business income from your personal, okay? Or business expenses from your personal. That protects you from a liability standpoint. What I would say is make sure that you really try to keep track of the differences between your personal expenses and business expenses, because at the end of the year, when you go to do your taxes, there are certain things that are deductible and you won't have to pay as much in taxes as a result. So it's a good idea. You can have a savings account or 2 savings accounts and 1 debit card, not credit card, for each account.
Convenience.
You swipe one for business purposes, you swipe one for personal purposes, and then eventually you'll get to the point where you've tracked that really well.
Awesome.
Good question.
Great. And if you guys have any questions, again, Chris, how do they get a hold of you?
You can shoot me an email, chris@thelumenwealthgroup.com, LUMEN wealthgroup.com. Let me know your contact information, and we'll set up a time we can jump on the phone for 5-10 minutes, and I can answer as many questions as I can. And
anybody that, for whatever reason, can, if they call into us or they talk to us through the show or through the studio, claybankstudio.com, we'll make sure that you get that information so that we can get these people the answers to their situations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so we're coming to the close of the show, and I know you have to put in a disclaimer.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
So you're going to put in a disclaimer, and then I have one last question for you.
Okay.
Guys, this needs to be done because of all that Secret Service stuff I talked about a few minutes ago. So
that's right.
Do you think,
Chris? We are licensed advisors, and we have an overbearing government regulation that watches what we do, which is a checks and balances system. Absolutely, yeah. Okay. I'm glad that it's in place. But as a disclosure, these are required. One hand?
One hand on the There you go.
No, I'm an actor.
One hand on the
Okay, all right.
Now you're a stronger actor.
Securities offered through Raymond James Financial Services, member FINRA SIPC. Lumen Wealth Group is not a registered broker-dealer and is independent of Raymond James Financial Services. Independent investment advisory services offered through Raymond James Financial Services. Raymond James is not affiliated with and does not endorse independent third parties named. Views expressed are not necessarily those of Raymond James Financial Services and are subject to change without notice. Information contained herein was received from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy is not guaranteed. Information provided is a general in nature and is not a complete statement of all information necessary for making investment decisions and is not a recommendation or a solicitation to buy or sell any security. One last one. Asset allocation and diversification does not ensure a profit or protect against loss. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and investing always involves risks, and you may incur a profit or loss. No investment strategy can guarantee success.
You know what this reminds me of is you watch this 1.5-minute long commercial of this guy living this beautiful lifestyle, and he is because he's on this great medication.
Yeah.
And he's with his great family and sailing boats and driving race cars and climbing mountains, and then at the end it's like, taking this medication can cause severe itching, discomfort, and possibly death. It might not work for everybody. You also won't be able to sleep at night, and your children are going to wind up inconvenienced. You know, I mean, just some crazy disclaimer. It's like, what is going on here?
That's me.
I know, but no, seriously, I understand why you have to do that. Okay, great. We have to land this bird. This has been awesome.
Yeah.
I don't think I have, of all the, say, direct industry professionals that I've had in here, I don't think I've actually invited specifically anybody back until now. I think I need to invite you back, which I think is kind of interesting in its own sense.
Wow.
Not these other guests have been awesome,
Was it the
and they
suit
might come back.
or
But
the,
for here, I
button?
felt like this interview is like demanding more time. You know, and so we'll have to put something together.
Wow, I appreciate that.
And we'll let the audience know when we do this again.
We'll
All
let
right.
them determine.
So here's my last question for you.
All right.
Are you a social media guy? Do you do social media?
Business or personal?
Well, I don't know. Do you have an Instagram account?
I have an Instagram.
You do. So
It's private.
okay, you do it.
I do.
And you
yeah.
know how it works. And you have a LinkedIn account.
I have very little followers.
Do you do LinkedIn?
I do LinkedIn,
Okay,
yeah.
so let's
we have a
say-
Facebook and Instagram for business purposes.
So my question is generally around and I guess you could fill it in with LinkedIn or Instagram, whatever works for you. You're allowed one post.
Okay.
And you're allowed one picture.
Okay.
And this post and this picture will be seen by everybody in the world that actually has an account. What is your post and what is your picture?
What is my post and what is my picture?
Everybody in the world sees it.
Everybody gets to see it, and this
it's
is from a
one shot.
business standpoint.
This is yours. You can put your cup of coffee with the little heart in it. I mean, whatever you want. What do you want to say to the world that everyone will see? What's your message to the world?
I would take a picture of myself with my partners and all of my clients and my family together, because that's what is really cool about our team is everybody that we work with becomes our friend, because we're making them feel more comfortable and less stressed in the long term because of what we're doing with them. And that allows them to focus more on their family or focus more on their work. So I would get all of our clients together and take a group shot. And my wife knows a lot of our clients. She got to know you. She got to know a lot of our other clients. And so I would take a picture with everybody together, because to me,
On
that's
a boat,
what's
in
important.
a cruise at
Yeah,
sunset.
yeah, come on out,
And-
Marina Del Rey.
And what would the actual the post say?
What would the post say?
You're talking to the world. Think.
You guys have made my job not a job. I get to look at my calendar every week and enjoy my appointments and meetings coming up. And so when you enjoy the work that you do, it's not work. So I would thank everybody for working with us, because ultimately at the end of the day, that's what makes what I do so enjoyable.
Chris Campbell, everybody. Chris, it's been a fantastic interview. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and
Thanks for
I
having
do
me.
look forward to having you back.
Thanks.
Hey guys, this has been the Performance Zone. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. We do our best to bring you some of the best, dig into their hearts and souls, in this case wallets, to find out more about what's going on to help make your life even that much better. Brought to you by claybankstudio.com. Come on down to the studio, see what we're doing here in Toluca Lake, California. We just moved from Burbank. This is our new location. You like it?
I love it.
Terrific. And
Great
I
setup.
am Coach Clay Banks. Until the next episode, we'll see you, and do the right thing.